Hello and welcome back to more Tier 2 action. We are at the final stretch of the Contenders Summer Series on the Sheer Cold Twitch channel. Thanks once again to the Timeless Project. My name is Jace, that is Laser. Laser, this game is so crucial for Sheer Cold today. They need a heist type beat to stay alive here. And I think that result might have to be a big upset.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. It's going to be an upset if they are able to pull it out. I mean, looking at the standings, if we can get those up, I mean, it is a rough season so far for Sheer Cold. Maybe summer is not the best season for a brand based around ice and snow.
Nope.
But whatever the reason, they have been struggling this season. Not so the case for SrPeakCheck, though.
No, absolutely not. They've been flying. Ironically, with Cloudy on the Reinhardt, very ground-based centric rush comp. There's been a couple of tweets on the timeline. I just call it X now, and God, I hate it, but nonetheless, we're still here with Overwatch action. They've been on the rush comp, and they've been doing pretty well. Cloudy and Danid, I think, have really been leading this team. Got to mention Dollar as well, but look at those results for SrPeakCheck. They take that loss against Oblivione, and it's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7 on the bounce. I think it actually is 7 in a row, and they're looking to make it a full 8 to basically guarantee themselves a top 3 seed heading into playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, and those top three and top four seeds are so essential because you don't want to lose out in that first round of playoffs. And I mean, the higher seed you are, better chance you have of playing one of these teams that you've beaten in the past. For SrPeakCheck, any of these teams you see at the bottom so far that they've beaten, they would be more than likely comfortable with playing again. And I mean, coming into this, they just need a solid victory over Sheer Cold to solidify their position and get a little bit more map differential before heading into two very tough matches to end out the season with Twisted Minds and All Yeah, both top three teams right now.
Yeah, those games are going to be wars, battles for sure. All three of SrPeakCheck, Twisted Minds, and All Yeah playing very different styles of Overwatch. That'll be something to look forward to. But for now, let's draw a bit of focus on Sheer Cold. Laser, what do you think they need to adjust, be wary of from SrPeakCheck in order to try and compete today? We know Sheer Cold has a history of going to map 5s. We've got a graphic for it. If producer Solomon could very generously pull that up for us. Sheer Cold are, I believe, 50-50 in map 5s. Laser, what do you think they need to try and do here to potentially get to that not quite comfort spot, because they are 2-2, but something that they're very familiar with and definitely have more experience than
Yeah, I mean, you can see it here. They've gone to map 5 against a couple good teams. Pep specifically, I think, was the standout one for me. And I think going into map 5, even if they end up losing that map 5 for them right now, is still a fine result because they still have at least 1 or 2 games where they are comfortable in that matchup. That being said, we are going to Oasis for our first map, not our 5th map. We might see another control for our 5th map if it goes that far, but Sheer Cold, I mean, honestly, you're playing into LH Cloudy on Reinhardt, on Rush. So you're going to need to change something up on your end, whether that's playing Ramatra and trying to burn through the tank HP pool, or playing something completely unorthodox in order to counter that comp.
Yeah, and Sheer Cold have done it before. NKZ and Exodial very confident in this Ram Reaper sort of 1-2 punch, quite literal punch, an NKZ sense, and I like that they're coming out on it. SrPeakCheck, though, we know that Cloudy was going to run the Reinhardt. What do you think Danid pulls out here? Do you think he sticks on the sim, or what is the swap going? What do you think?
I mean, I actually wouldn't be surprised if he took Sim, just because this works well with the Reinhardt, because you have that extra time to set up with the Symmetra Beam, because Reinhardt has a shield, and not just the Ramatra shield. That way you don't take poke from the Mei, you don't take poke from the Lucio, and you aren't forced out early. You can stay there and beam through your own Rein shield in perfect safety to get to tier 3.
Yeah, and Fee versus Condi on this main matchup is going to be so pivotal. Both of them really lacking damage to be able to kill these tanks, but it's not about the kill, it's about the wall. They're setting it up for either Zodial or Danid to knock him down. The walls go in, they are traded, and that forces out the Nemesis Swarm for Menke as he gets punching, but look at how low his HP goes already. That is the damage of the Symmetra, and he's just run over by Danid on the sim. Cloudy barrels in afterwards to take down Condi, and Sheer Cold, they tried to play Rush into a Rush team. Cloudy gets a nice swipe onto LP. Sheer Cold on 1 point.
Yeah, unfortunately on this map, it is a tough ask for you to run anything else into Rush here. Honestly, Rush is the best composition unless you run something like a J Queen, and Queen right now is not the strongest into Reinhardt, just because you have that shield to block out most of the poke and the knives to get self-sustain. That being said, SrPeakCheck, I mean, they have every advantage in the world with the point control right now, and they're going to look to abuse it.
Nice rotation from Sheer Cold Bow, trying to cut off the wall, get some LOS to slow up onto the maze. Also good shot falls, but Cloudy, he's got slam already, by the way, dropped it onto NKZ. Condi falls after as well, and it's a perfect 2 picks for SrPeakCheck. That rotation was so good.
Yeah, I mean, Cloudy uses the slam there aggressively, and now SrPeakCheck has every other ultimate to work with, and Sheer Cold only has Coalescence. So unless SrPeakCheck take this fight extremely slow, which I don't see them doing, because they have all those ultimates online, Sheer Cold are in a precarious situation here, and they're most likely going to have to burn a Coalescence to go through.
How aggressive Cloudy is. The Sim Wall comes up, the sand barrier is immediately dropped by the Lucio of SrPeakCheck just to try and keep them alive. It's traded though, Ilpi's Cole comes out and it's not bad. But NKZ, been isolated from the rest of their team, do not want to leave the Remarcher on their own. Danid is just going to run them down. Look at the charge, the energy, the beam was able to be built up by Danid. It was max DPS there, and NKZ just got completely melted.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the threat of Symmetra. If you're not able to get onto her in time, she's going to build that tier 3 off of your team, and then she is going to melt through you like a microwave, because Sheer Cold do not have any barriers to stop the Symmetra from getting value, and they can't get onto her with the Reaper in time for her to stop.
Oh, it's the level of kite that PeakCheck have is so good. Danny gets a pick onto Strebor, maybe tried to touch the point, went from the top side, but it's just a left click. Pin comes in immediately onto Cloudy to pressure out NKZ. They do have the form coming, but it's a second Earth Shatter from Cloudy and has found the tank, plus another one of those pesky raw DPS in the late fight. This wall and no cryo must certainly mean the end to Condi. It does. Sheer Cold had a wealth of ultimates, they had a treasure trove, but all Cloudy needed was a trusty hammer and the earth to explode beneath him. Mixi falls the final pick onto Strebor. Sheer Cold is sent back to spawn, out of ideas, and I'm going to need to go back to the drawing board. SrPeakCheck dominant 100% to 0 here on the Hanging Gardens of Babylon Oasis.
Yeah, I think the deciding factor in that round was the LH Cloudy Shouter, because I think coming into that point, or to that fight specifically, I think that Sheer Cold had every advantage in the world when it comes to ultimates. They had the Blossom, they had the May Blizzard, they had NKZ's Annihilation, but NKZ ended up swapping off before they could even use the Annihilation. They swapped the ball because they needed to touch. That being said, they were not able to use it, and Exodial's Blossom was cancelled by a Cloudy Shatter.
Yeah. And I think as well, Sheer Cold did have the wealth of ultimates, but man, Cloudy generated 2 Earth Shatters and they were just fight winning. Sheer Cold just, I guess, forgetting that Shatter existed. They got punished for it twice. I saw PeakCheck Laser. They are cooking on this round.
Yeah, I mean, this is a completely unorthodox composition. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this on this point. Maybe I haven't watched them enough, but man, this is an interesting composition to play into a Reaper Sombra if you are Cloudy on the Doom. They're going to be looking to punish him hard.
They should get hacked up, but Fee finds the first pick onto Strebor. Sheer Cold's ability to rotate quickly has been completely taken away, and we talked about Doomfist in this comp. I thought it would have been Danid. Danid is on the Soldier. Anyone unfamiliar with his game, known for the Doomfist back in Overwatch 1, unfortunately cannot play it in Overwatch 2. OP takes a joyride, but not for too long. He's just going to get ran over by those cars. And Sheer Cold has to head back to spawn, but I think their composition is still pretty decent into what SrPeakCheck are cooking here.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, this is the pretty good composition to play into what SrPeakCheck is running, but they're still going to look to punish Doom here.
B finds Condi first. How has the Sombra managed to find Pick? After Pick already 2 fights, 2 entry openings for Fee. Very experienced German Sombra player there. Team Germany, I believe, as well. Danny takes down NKZ and Sheer Cold already. 3 versus 5, he just has to run away.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough reset if you're Sheer Cold, because you lost your Ramacha early. I mean, that's not really acceptable into this composition. And I mean, these picks come out every single fight from SrPeakCheck's DPS. Danid and Fee have found everything in terms of first picks. Fee has found 2 and Danid has found 1.
And I think SrPeakCheck's damage as the fight builds up is quite low. You would surely favour the Reaper and the Sombra. Over the long fight, Danid's damage is fair enough consistent, but honestly it's quite low. He gives a nano boost here though onto Cloudy to try and keep him alive. He gets hacked up, not going to be able to use any of his cooldowns for 3 or 4 seconds. Found himself ulti though, punch against the wall, his slide cancelled. Simply unlucky, as another EU Doomfist would say, but Cloudy's ulti is going to be forcefully used to retreat. NKZ coming up on this Ram ultimate himself though. It might be annihilation time for SrPeakCheck. This EMP from V though could come down at any second. The visor just expires, the EMP drops. V falls though, Exodial hits it, there we go. Condi's EMP is countered. perfectly timed by the South African Sombra player. Zodial helps clean up as well. Man, great EMP timing from Condi. SrPeakCheck expend the EMP and the Blossom, but great fight win from them.
Typically, you don't want to EMP second, but I mean, it worked out for Condi in that case because they were able to live for so long in that giant tube in the middle of point because they were able to take shelter from the visor. Danid finds a pick, though.
Condi again. Condi's been found out too many times here without Translocator able to TP out. One of the benefits of Sombra is that safe swift exit. It's not happening.
Trade.
Annihilation has been forced. Great pick from SrPeakCheck onto Cloudy. That is literally the pillar of the team. Once the Rhine falls, the rush composition is rushed no longer, and it's not as safe. You can look at damage freely. NKZ, though, with his eyes set on the other DPS, V falls, and Zodial gets Dollar, and the Reaper just barrels in after them. Great work from SrPeakCheck to trade that back. Condi falling early was not good, but immediately they get the highest value target in the tank.
Yeah, SrPeakCheck needs to find a lot of value with this Blossom because they are starved on ultimates, especially their offensive ones. And SrPeakCheck are coming up on 2 very big ultimates in Shatter and May next fight. And I mean, Exodial just needs to find everything in the world here with this Blossom if they are able to win this fight.
And they've got time to stall. SrPeakCheck have taken a long rotation on the high ground and around. Finally, they position themselves on point. Stebor playing far away, predicting potentially to use that sound barrier to peel. The aggression should come out from SrPeakCheck on
pick.
Exodial on KC, but LP falls. Just a random right click. V takes the icicle straight through the skull of LP, but it's so
there
good.
it is.
It's so big. It's a 3k through the lamp as well. And Cloudy's going to be taking a swift trip to the waters of Oasis. Nice, Blossom. You're right. Exodial didn't need to get everything, and yeah, he did.
He did. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was looking for out of SrPeakCheck. And I mean, they swap over to Danid to the Sombra, which is an interesting pick because now you have no frontline damage into a Sombra Reaper. And I think that's a pretty tough ask for your DPS. And Fee has to find a massive Blizzard here to set up Cloudy for the Shatter.
It could be good,
but Dan goes
just
down.
Gets immediately rocked by NKZ. The Haymakers come in. They come in thick and fast. Cloudy falls as well. 3 versus 5 on the point. The Blizzard does go down onto NKZ. He gets turned into a popsicle for a moment, but he's going to live. Exodial, though, has been left alive. This Reaper has done so much work in the final 2 fights for SrPeakCheck. And he's not... I would say he's averse to the cold and the frozen temperatures being from Spain. Exodial himself, but man, was ice cold in his veins, one might say, if that's not been overused. The Reaper of SrPeakCheck later got so much value there, and we're going to be going to University for the chance of SrPeakCheck to take map 1.
Yeah, honestly, clinical performance out there from Exodial on those last few fights. I set them up exactly what they needed to do in order to get value in that fight. They needed to get a big Blossom, and big Blossom they got, because 3k is not exactly a typical Blossom when you are asking into a rush composition. SrPeakCheck running a more traditional comp on this point with Cloudy on the Rhine and Danid back on the Symmetra into a SrPeakCheck composition that is going to thrive off of space and then taking it immediately because they have this Sombra hack and the Reaper. They're going to look to close these gaps immediately, even though they don't have a May. They want to close these gaps.
I think Condi has really struggled here with this Sombra. It's been picked off a couple times in fights, but that EMP that they laid down on last point was pivotal. It was crucial, and it was essentially game flipping. The May wall comes here, it's immediately broken. Virtual caught without Wraith, and Fee just takes an icicle once again straight through the head of another member of SrPeakCheck. Can SrPeakCheck flip it? They've been known to do it, but no. Man, Fee is so clean on these May right clicks. Great wall as well on the end.
And the wall stagger.
It's stagger.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great fight there from Fee. 2 headshots onto the squishies, and then wall on NKZ to get Cloudy that bit of ult charge. And I mean, Fee and Cloudy farming right now into SrPeakCheck's composition, and those are the 2 players that you're going to look for to farm into these sorts of compositions where you don't have a May to contest your May. You don't have a wall or a threat of a wall, so now you can just walk on the Ramatra for free unless you can force out the Reaper.
And I mean, I saw SrPeakCheck have a lot of backloaded damage, but Fee shouldn't be the highest DPS threat. But when you're landing these icicle headshots, anyone on SrPeakCheck can just be instantly gibbed by one of those right clicks. It's a hack from out onto Mixi to take down the lamp for SrPeakCheck. That's going to be online now. Great peel from Dollar to look after their fellow finish. Flex support. But they're just trying to barrel into this room. Cloudy, though. See him on crit HP. Split from the team. Now you lose LOS on Migchi. And it falls 1-for-1, though. Cloudy gets a pin onto SrPeakCheck. SrPeakCheck can't really have the option to speed in now that Lucio has fallen. Danid has found LP. Both supports from SrPeakCheck gone. Condi and Zodia, they're going to have to do it by themselves, but it's like Condi and NKZ are going to have to do it by themselves. That's the Annihilation pop.
The Ramel.
There onto Dollar. Ramel goes down. Can they find the Sim? Yes, they can. Danid as well. NKZ, are you doing this in the split fight? SrPeakCheck, if they pulled off a heist yet again. Pin comes out onto LH Cloudy and SrPeakCheck. I think they've got the numbers to just run them back off the point. Remember, Dollar
stalling point
should be back. SrPeakCheck and LP should be back now. The numbers have got options here. They've got numbers over for SrPeakCheck, but SrPeakCheck still hanging on. The shot comes down though onto Cloudy. For Cloudy, sorry. This fight is absolutely crazy. Exodio falls. Cloudy's traded. I think the tank on the point for SrPeakCheck should just be it, but if there's anyone to flip it out, it should be, and it could be Danid. SrPeakCheck kills Mitchie. No, NKZ still alive. It was tank difference in the end, but SrPeakCheck, they bled so much on that point.
Yeah, 95% when they started that fight, nearly at 50, maybe even 60, and now they have their pick of the litter when it comes to using their ultimates. They can force out EMP Blossom here from SrPeakCheck potentially, and then take this fight on their own terms as they come into last. And I mean, they're going to look to take it aggressively.
Don't mind it. You need to force as many resources from SrPeakCheck as possible. If you're SrPeakCheck, you even get like an EMP and Blossom in the same fight. It might just be the perfect one. EMP comes down though. Is there a response? It's not immediately found and converted into any pick, which forces out the Annihilation from NKZ, but that expires as well. Now 2 big ultimates, 2 key win conditions gone. Cloudy's gonna pin it.
Oh no!
Kind of maniacally, and Gonjal's Blossom also goes wide. And that's another ultimate to come out from SrPeakCheck. They might finally get there as Cloudy falls, but it's a perfectly timed beat.
They use 5
to keep them alive. SrPeakCheck use all of their ultimates. They get walled off on the point. 95, 96. Where is NKZ? They're 1 HP. Can they touch? Yes, they do. The Annihilation form might not be enough. As the Ram falls, it's going to have to be SrPeakCheck and Co to contest. OP maybe has to touch next. Zodiac is alive, so it might be winnable, but perfect May wall from Fee and SrPeakCheck. Man, that was maybe an all-time bad fumble with those resources. EMP, nothing. Annihilation, nothing. Death Blossom, nothing. Coalescence, nothing. There was 1 sound barrier laser, and SrPeakCheck, well, they got out with a heist there in that fight.
Yeah, by no means should they have won that fight, coming in with almost 0 ultimates on the board versus 5, the Infinity Stones out from SrPeakCheck. I mean, I don't know how they pulled that out, because they...
That's illegal.
Yeah, they missed the Blizzard. They popped the Ramel to kite or to contest the Blizzard missing, and then got windowed off. So the Ramel also got nothing.
Yeah.
The Blossom was popped in the room and immediately booped out by the Lucio.
Yeah, great play.
And then they used the Coalescence to aggress when the Blossom failed, and then couldn't take the space because the Blossom didn't do enough damage. And then they pop beat to sustain afterwards.
It felt, quote unquote, I'd say uncharacteristic from SrPeakCheck, because what they demonstrated in that map was their ability to swing fights when they were down members. They would lose someone early, like Condi and LP particularly. Those two died a lot early, but they were still managing to find Cloudy and find Danid and get these conversions into these big high-value picks to effectively trade up in terms of, you know, overall power and what you can cut out from a composition, when you can pick off the tank and when you can pick off the sim. But in that fight where they had ultimates, all the resources, all the wealth, all the options, all the flexibility, it was, okay, we're going to go with EMP, that didn't work, ult, we're going to go with Annihilation, that's not worked as well, we're going to ult Blossom, and we're going to ult Cold. And they just, it was panicky, I guess, and that's what it came across like. And you can't do that against a 7-1 team in this summer series. You've been rightfully punished for it. We're going to go to Eichenwald by the pick of SrPeakCheck. They've got a decent record on this map, I believe, but I mean, we've seen what the London Spitfire can do on this map with Rush, and if there's anyone that can replicate it in EU, it will be Cloudy and Co. Former British Hurricane player as well, Danid. I'm interested really to see what SrPeakCheck are cooking on this map.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be another Symmetra May composition, because Rhine is the only character that you can take advantage of that, truly. And I mean, Symmetra right now, very good spot because of her recent buff. Not only does she lifesteal off of barriers if she gets buried off by this Ramatra, but she also can two-shot squishies with her right click, which is a very big threat if you are running something like a Moira, which can't heal at long distances. So if your squishies are taking poke from the opposite side of the map, suddenly you are out of the fight for a couple seconds trying to heal.
And I think Sim also essentially mitigates one of the key things about these competitions, which is target focus. As we see that the Sim TP to point, and they've completely inverted the map. It's a great rotation from SrPeakCheck. Now they've got the Sim damage to just beam anyone off that has to touch. It's now sheer cold that has to aggress himself onto the objective, but Danid falls. It's a bit too eager there, I'd say. Zodiel punishes in.
Trades Condi.
Finds the trade. Big pick to trade out Condi. Cloudy's just going to pin and hope, and I think it might just be sent back to spawn thanks to the punches from NKZ, and it is. Sheer cold should be able to clean up in this fight now.
Yeah, I mean, but they can't do that again. I mean, even if they are able to clean up, they gave up 81% on the point. And I mean, that's a... McGee picks Trevor. It doesn't really matter in this fight, and it will look like a reset for SrPeakCheck unless Cloudy is able to pull off a miracle here without a Baptiste on his ends.
They TP to the high ground this time. Clever. They've been split though. Is that the Ravenous Vortex pulling Cloudy down? I think he was pulled down by the Ravenous Vortex actually, but he just pinned Sterbor anyway. Traded back. Cloudy, I'm not sure about that one, Chief. Big trade though. It's going to freeze up NKZ. Can they fall him? No. Ilpi putting those left clicks in.
2v2.
On top of Condi damage. Well, it is 2v2 and the window is popped by McGee, but unfortunately they have to immediately abandon it. They're just kiting now. Great LOF presence play on the payload for sheer cold. Condi still falls. So Dollar and McGee in the 2v2. The Finnish supports are just going to cap. It was 2v2. It was May and Lucio versus McGee and Dollar. And well, I didn't think the supports were going to win that one, Laser, but support will combat, I guess, and they unlocked the point.
Yeah, typically when you put a Baptiste and a Lucio up against a May and a Moira, you were not expecting the support duo to win that. But, I mean, Dollaristi and McGee were able to pull it out of the bag. And, I mean, that's a massive flip if you are SrPeakCheck, because you didn't have to use any ultimates, and now you can just go aggressive with the ones you saved.
They're going for the close ult here, Sheer Cold. First chapter ready to be dropped. There we go. Two members of Sheer Cold immediately hit the floor and hit Brave. They Zodiel and Strebor but go down, and once again the rush comp without the Lucio doesn't really rush, it just stands still and dies. SrPeakCheck is going to clean this fight up.
Yep, pretty easy fight if you are SrPeakCheck. You use a sim wall for it and a shatter. And I mean, not really a great use of ultimates if you are... oh, never mind. I stand corrected. They get 2 fights off of that because of the late stagger. And that is a fine use of ultimates now, and they are looking forward to this next fight where Condi is most likely going to look for a Blizzard early when Fee doesn't exactly have one up yet. You might see another biffed Blizzard like the previous point on Oasis, but I mean, we're looking forward here.
Nice rotation from Sheer Cold actually. They managed to once again invert map, doing what SrPeakCheck did to them. They're going to take control of the high ground now. It's Sheer Cold on the point, forcing SrPeakCheck to come to them if they want to touch it. It's going to set up Condi's Blizzard a lot better. See, the May has been split from the rest of their team. I think they're going to be rejoined shortly. It's wall for wall, but it's through the amplification matrix. Great block from Condi, but I don't think it's blocked anyone else. Cloudy almost pins off the map, gets frozen. NKZ though with the annihilation, just going to run over McGee. Dollar goes off.
Sheer Cold done it again. They used 5 ultimates.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Sheer Cold done it again, using 5 ultimates. SrPeakCheck has every advantage in the world now, and they only need 1 or 2. One fight and then a scrappy fight to clean up second. And I mean, they're going to look for most likely a TP or a castle rotation here. And that is where they're going to thrive because Cloudy's going to be able to farm shatter so quickly. Wait, Danid.
However, NKZ just going to punch Danid. Not quite sure why Danid was going or what he was doing. Didn't see that one, but that's an off-screen Shakespeare type death from Danid. Rare pick onto him, shall I say. Veteran of the Overwatch scene at this point. Nice defensive ball from Fee to come out. Blind is dropped on top and Strebor finds the boot on victory. Environmental or not, I'm not sure. Great target focus onto Ilpi to take down that Moira. All the sustain has been cut out. Sound barrier force now from Dollar just to keep his team alive in this fight. Victory goes over to the Moira and then back over to the Baptiste, decides against it. But this fight is just Cloudy and Dollar on the cart. SrPeakCheck. Fee's Blizzard was just enough.
Yeah, I mean, Danid goes down early from TPing onto Castle when no one else expected him to, but I mean, pick on the Condi there. That will be enough for SrPeakCheck to cap. And I mean, scrappy fight, but ended up working in SrPeakCheck's favor. Wait, Cloudy just goes in with a shatter and gets no one.
I whiffed it. Danid goes for an aggressive TP play as well. SrPeakCheck feeling high and mighty, confident with the 3-minute timeline clearly.
Yeah, playing a little bit more aggressive than you would normally see out of them, but they're going to try it again.
TP wall comes in, maybe to try and bait the TP, I guess. They have no intention of going through it. Zodiel drops the Blossom, everyone low. Finally they fall. So much damage, so much pressure from the Reaper. And once again, they use 5 ultimates, they win, but why? When a Zodiel can just drop 1 Death Blossom and completely rip apart SrPeakCheck.
Yeah, and that's what you need to see here if you are Sheer Cold, because 1-to-1 ultimate fights to drain a time bank are the ones that you want to win. You don't want to use multiple ultimates just to counter one. And I mean, that's what they've been doing up until this point. That being said, we are now coming into a little bit more of a scrappy fight, because Sheer Cold and SrPeakCheck coming up on wide banks of ultimates, and we're looking for Fee to get a massive blizzard.
Wall. Oh, this is disgustingly good wall from Condi, by the way, just to isolate the Reinhardt from the supports. Window is forced by Mixi, and crucially for Sheer Cold, they force resources ultimate from SrPeakCheck in a fight that they just clearly lose.
Yeah, they force out the window there for the Coalescence, and each of them build around the same pace. So Sheer Cold is going to come into this fight with a Blizzard, and Fee and Condi need to find massive value.
Annihilation time, Blizzard drops on top, NKZ frozen up, Dollar puts the sound barrier on to keep the rest of his team nice and healthy. Cloudy gets a swing fade fire strike. High Hunter Exodial just to take down that Reaper. Big threat actually gone. Shatter is just whiffed from Cloudy. Tried to go onto NKZ, and NKZ sidestepped it. Nice little dodge. Blizzard on top of the bar just to secure it, but Fee finds Condi, so 12-4 in this fight, no May for the side of Sheer Cold. Exodial should be back up in a second. Fee's wall is defensive, no cryo, no block. NKZ pulls out those punches yet again, and Sheer Cold clean up. I think Blazer kind of a win for Sheer Cold here.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier, 1-to-1 or 2-to-2 or 3-to-3 ultimates are fine wins if you are Sheer Cold, because each one of these fights that you win is another 30-45 seconds off the time bank. And I mean, that is a very important distinction, because now they're coming up under 1 minute, which means even if they cap with 0 time, they'll still get an attack round.
SrPeakCheck here. Really falling low. LH Cloudy, lamp forced out already. Sheer Cold's aggression is so good here. They're just looking for that Reinhardt. They understand that they can kill him. Nanage, though, going to be building this energy off this barrier by the Ram. Zodial's Blossom this time not going to find anyone, more of a zoning, shall I say. This May Blizzard, though, from Fee could potentially be massive. NKZ is frozen up. Elfie already falls. Nanage is the martyr in this fight. LH Cloudy with the 3k to clean it up. 25 seconds left. Laser. Can Sheer Cold find one more fight to stop SrPeakCheck?
I mean, they're coming up with the Ramatra and the beat, which is a deadly combo usually, but Dollaristi has the beat to counter out this Ramatra ultimate. LH Cloudy has this Shatter that we know him for, and that is the deciding one in this fight. Let's see what he does with it.
Early wall comes in. The target focus comes
on the
down.
Reaper.
It's a slam onto Exodial. That's one big threat onto Cloudy Don. It's going to make it easier for him. But NKZ just punching at his backline. Cloudy is split. The supports have split. NKZ finds 1, finds 2, finds 3. The overtime wick starts, and it's just going to burn very quickly. They say the brightest stars burn the fastest. And in this case, it was the supernova punches of NKZ to quickly extinguish that overtime flame. SrPeakCheck do not get the full cap, and Sheer Cold, they bled a lot of fights. SrPeakCheck were starting to build momentum, but at the end, Sheer Cold slammed the door shut. SrPeakCheck do not get their full cap.
Yeah, that is an impressive hold if you are Sheer Cold. Coming into Eichenwald third on a brawl, the only real brawl point on this map other than first point, because there is a distinct lack of high grounds on first and third. I think SrPeakCheck would, in theory, have an advantage there, but Sheer Cold was able to use their May utility to wall and isolate off LH Cloudy from supports consistently. I mean, Condi was finding crazy walls to make it much easier for Sheer Cold to capitalize on the fact that they had frontline damage. And I mean, NKZ used every bit of it.
And I think as well, Laser, when I look at these compositions, not too familiar with this Ryan versus Ram matchup, I always think that the Ram can just kind of walk on the supports for free, but I feel like Cloudy is on, shall I say, like a clock, a timer here. Shall I say, he's got very limited time to work, otherwise NKZ, Zodial and Condi will just kind of walk on his back line and do what NKZ did in the last fight. I don't know how you agree with that or what Cloudy can do to stop it, but I don't really think there's much Cloudy can do. I think it's just kind of a pitfall of the Reinhardt hero.
Yeah, Ryan is a hero that struggles a lot with uptime, because you're either walking towards the enemy and burning your shield to do it, and you're losing resources. And then once you're there, you can only stay a certain amount of time because you have no survivability without their shield. And you're not able to do damage while you're protecting yourself, unlike Ramatra, where you can kind of toggle in and out of form pretty easily and use your slow and shield to keep yourself alive. But they're going to take a fast fight.
Great wall, though, coming out from Fee. Just trying to split them. Zodial falls first. Danid is traded, though, so Sim versus Reaper needs his all to play for. NKZ just gets buried in a corner, pinned against the PCs in this tight room. Dollar and Mixi clean them up. And I think SrPeakCheck, yeah, that fight was just instantly done off that wall from Fee.
Yeah, clean wall there from Feet to clean up the fight pretty quickly. SrPeakCheck, good first fight from them, and they've already bled, what is this, 45 seconds because of how slow they were to come out of spawn. That's a pretty big time bank for a first fight, and I mean, Condi is now swapped, I guess, not now, but has swapped over to Sombra on this point, so they lose that Mei utility to stop Cloudy from just going ham in the back.
And they don't manage to find the hack onto the Mei to deny the wall to come through. NKZ has to burn all of his Nemesis form in the power block, and even if NKZ would have lived, would not have been pretty for him in the long fight, but SrPeakCheck just cleaning up quickly. Danid gets a double as well. And Shade Cold, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board here. I think Condi needs to find a hack on either Cloudy or Fee just to stop this rinse and repeat cycle of walls coming into Sim turrets, into NKZ getting completely obliterated.
I think Condi will find an EMP here, or off of the farm in the back line, but never mind. I stand corrected.
Condi?
I'm sorry, Condi. I might have cast or cursed you a bit, but now they are just going to capitalize on the fact that they have no Sombra to stop this rush.
Nice slam coming in for
Big
Cloudy.
slam.
Finds 3. This is the perfect fight. Such a low resource investment from SrPeakCheck to just bleed more time off the bank. Under 2 minutes now, and Condi does not yet have the EMP.
Yeah, I mean, Condi needs to find this EMP quickly, and that's the only go button here for Sheer Cold. SrPeakCheck has everything to stop the rush now, though, because Fee is able to blizzard off the EMP rush, and that is the only way that this team is going to capitalize, because they need to get their Reaper up front and center.
The TP bait potentially coming in from SrPeakCheck. Danid looking for the right clicks as Sheer Cold turn around. Potentially a move to try and capitalize on a rookie mistake. School type error. Nice wall though. It's just going to push, unfortunately, NKZ up to the high ground.
It's going to kite it.
SrPeakCheck completely kite this coalescence. Sheer Cold can use it to take point, however. The pin comes in immediately onto Zodiel. Sheer Gold not ready for the level of aggression Cloudy is putting onto them. There we go. The Reaper falls. Did not have Wraith. No protection available. Mitchie's window is just going to try and keep Cloudy up through all this aggression, but Sheer Cold might have found it. No, Sand Barrier from Dollar is going to keep them alive for now. EMP on top of Condi, though, perfectly timed. The Blossom, sorry, the Blizzard comes out from Fee, only finds NKZ, and Ilp falls as well. This was a fight back and forward. The EMP from Condi was well timed, but Fee's Blizzard at the 11th hour just about kept them alive.
Yeah, I mean, but Sheer Cold committing 4 ultimates again and losing the fight. This has been a very big story so far in this, not only this map, but also this match, because Sheer Cold have just committed ultimate after ultimate to fights and not really comboed anything. They've been bleeding ultimates into fights that they end up losing. It's not something you can have if you have a low time bank.
Not 40 seconds left here. SrPeakCheck, you've got Sheer Cold pinned in this room. NKZ is going to try and walk out. It's going to cost him a lot of his Nemesis form and basically all of his HP as well. Shatter just barely dodged by Zodiel. Dungeons lucky cards for that one. Mitchie takes down Triple though. Cloudy is fallen though. Is it time for Zodiel to do the Death Blossom thing? It kind of is. Gets 1 for 1. But Fee being alive here, and all the turrets as well. He's just going to slow SrPeakCheck. Sorry, Sheer Cold's aggression onto the point. SrPeakCheck here, buying time. Cloudy is going to get back so quickly with this pin, with this speed boost. You've got Sound Barrier ready to go to, but Sheer Cold have established himself on the point for now.
Yeah, I mean, good fight there from Sheer Cold, and they've swapped Zodiel over to the Pharah. Looks like, wait, SrPeakCheck are just going to contest this with McG's window. This might be huge.
The window comes in. Zodiel finds Danid though, but Sheer Cold now overtime has to go on the objective. I think that was the boot from Ryan.
The pin off the map.
LP got flung back by the pin. It was onto NKZ, but it was the splash boot damage, whatever you want to call it, that caused LP to just get launched. Call it accidental, call it coincidental. Don't know if it was on purpose or not, but Cloudy finds a miraculous pit onto Ilpy there to cut off all of the sustain for Sheer Cold. And it's a disaster. SrPeakCheck are going to go 2-0 up in this series. Cloudy saves them in that last fight.
Yeah, I want to see this again. Cloudy, show it to me. Oh, man. I wanted to see that pin again because I don't know how that Moira flew so far. That being said, because of that pick, they are able to clean up that fight pretty quickly. And, I mean, SrPeakCheck going up 2-0 in a series where we sort of expected it coming in just because of these records and the teams that we talked about in the pre-show. That being said, we are in a match where Sheer Cold, impressive hold on third, then couldn't cap first. They flipped the momentum completely. They went from being the iron wall to just not being able to penetrate the defense whatsoever.
Yeah, they went from being an iron wall to the Berlin Wall in like whenever it came down. There you go. But Man, I didn't expect it. I was almost like sat here, just obviously hindsight 2020. You know, every armchair analyst is prime shot coaching staff, and I use the word prime there very, very importantly. But I almost felt like they just bled so much time laser by this Maywall sim combo. NKZ would walk through, get Maywalled, and either die or burn his entire Annihilation form, sorry, his entire Nemesis form in power block, and even then would fall out of it at 10 HP. And then that's basically fight over from there. Like, Shaco would have to wait another, what, 8, 9 seconds to go back in with that ROM, and like they just couldn't. SrPeakCheck kind of had them red.
Yeah, I mean, I talked a little bit about it in between rounds, but as much as Reinhardt struggles with uptime, Ramattra is another hero that struggles with uptime for a different reason. Ryan is able to pivot whenever he wants, wherever he wants, pretty much. You can pivot from swinging your hammer to going to shield immediately, and you never have to worry about a specific cooldown being in use, out of use, etc. That being said, Ramattra, opposite end of the spectrum, where you have uptime for 8 or 9 seconds, and then you're forced into downtime for the next 8 or 9 while you're waiting for the Ramattra Nemesis form.
Yeah, and it was that sort of timing window. You can effectively force, if you're SrPeakCheck, they were forcing the downtime. They got to almost decide when Shaco had uptime and when Shaco had downtime on that rush. I was just surprised that Shaco were unable to find some of these fights. In particular, Danid got picked first a couple times. And when you take down that sim, if you can just stabilize, then like what else damage do they have? Cloudy and Fee are your frontline there, and their damage is, you know, it's not burstable. You've got the Stain, you've got the Lucio, you've got the Moira to be able to heal up and be healthy and then just aggress back in once that Nem form is back up. But Shaco were just clearly unable to find that gap.
Yeah, I mean, stabilization is the name of the game once you get that first pick. I mean, there's a very fine line between stabilization and just trying to aggress off that pick. And I think if you pick off the Symmetra where you lose all that frontline damage, it's a tough option not to just immediately go in and say, hey, they're down 1, let's go for it. And I mean, that distinction is something that you need to make if you are in a brawl versus brawl mirror, because taking aggression, even if you get a pick when you're down resources, like if you don't have a Annihilation form out from Ramattra or Nemesis form, it's almost impossible to aggress. And even if you get that pick, so you waste a lot of that pick potential because you can't aggress off of that.
Yeah, and speaking of this rush versus rush mirror, you can play the funny Ryan character on Escort. Wouldn't recommend it. This is probably the worst map for it. Circuit Royale is going to be the pick of Shaco. And I like this from Shaco. Escort was going to come up anyway. And effectively, you know, Rush is almost a dead comp on this game mode. Very dominated by Sigma. One of the few maps left that Sigma can actually cook on, actually be able to be picked. SrPeakCheck are going to be keeping their lineup. SrPeakCheck do have a sub-tank. So Cloudy does not have to play this map if he does not want to, but probably play dive. Might not anyway. SrPeakCheck. I mean, they're going to go for the spawn hold here on the defense. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I've seen it work in the past, in some community leagues specifically, but I've seen it happen in a little bit higher level play. Cloudy on the Rhine is something we are very used to, and we are very used to very aggressive play out from Cloudy. Extremely aggressive pins, a little bit more aggressive shield positioning and shield usage than you would see in other Reinhardts. And like you said, I think probably going for the spawn hold here. I wouldn't be surprised, especially since Cloudy is positioned so far.
And if I'm Peakcheck here, I think it's just about the time bank. You want to drain as much of it off the clock as possible. You want Shaco to potentially counterpick the rush comp, and then you can try and potentially out-counterpick them. Will SrPeakCheck do it, considering they've been basically on this comp the whole time? Not sure. Shaco, though, takes a nice rotation immediately onto the objective. It forces SrPeakCheck to give up their very coveted spawn hold position. Cloudy falls first. It's a disaster for SrPeakCheck on the defense here. And whilst you try and bleed time off the bank, if you lose this first fight early, you bleed over ultimate charge. And it's effectively like you weren't there at all. But SrPeakCheck, Danid and Mixi's still alive. Strebor and Zodio falls. Dollar now as well. Cloudy falls, but the rest of SrPeakCheck, I think they've done the job.
Yeah, I don't know how these teams keep winning fights down numbers. And I mean, that's a massive turn if you are SrPeakCheck. He went from losing that fight and bleeding ultimate to now taking another fight with Cloudy back. And now you have the aggression.
Vortex going to come out to try and slow Cloudy here. Has plenty of shield left, just going to pick in. It does. Strebor gets squashed underneath the German armor. Cloudy is able to keep a nice and bulky Nemesis form, though, coming out from NKZ is going to trade it back, immediately expires, and Sheercold once again locked. They can't go anywhere. They're just forced to sort of slowly lose. As I say, that Danid gets a bit too close to that Nemesis form. NKZ finds the punches. Zodial kills off $2, and finally Sheercold, I think, have managed to stop this spawn camp to come out from SrPeakCheck.
Yeah, that being said, it came at the cost of a lot of time and ultimates. And SrPeakCheck are looking hyper-aggressive on every fight. They're looking to capitalize on the fact that these players on Sheercold are running the Sojourn, which needs space to operate, while Danid needs to take space to operate with the Symmetra. Cloudy has every right in the world to go aggressive. And, I mean, oh, Blizzard in.
Blizzard in? Both Blizzards
Two Blizzards in.
3 for 3. Sheercold, though, gonna just clean them up. I think they Blizzarded first, and it was the right decision to do so. Cloudy just could not aggress onto the Blizzard himself. They were frozen up. Sheercold, I mean, great Blizzard from Condi.
Yeah, amazing Blizzard out first, just to take that aggression. Even with the TP, they know that they can't TP back for a certain amount of time, especially if they break it, and they had the leeway to do it after a Condi Blizzard. I mean, Zodial needs to find a massive OC here if they're looking to win this fight, and Cloudy needs to find the Shatter to do so for their team.
They're going to have the space to do it, the distance to do it, assuming they don't just get TP'd on by Danid, but now that cooldown is down. Look at how far back Ilpi is playing. Overclock comes down, Exodial hits the floor during it, but now they've got time to work. NKZ is pinned though, Exodial. Cloudy pinning NKZ off the map means that Ryan Shield is down and it's free firing for Exodial. Falls so low, but with that overclock, managed to find Fees. Trebor cleans up LH Cloudy as well. Sheercold come barreling forward. Can they go through the window? It's a split fight actually. Exodial's rail run is going to be so true. Danid falls to that headshot from Spanish Hitscan. I think it's just numbers left on the point here. SrPeakCheck, surely not. There we go. Dollar falling. Exodial finds another headshot as well. Cloudy down to, Sheercold. Really well played here to cap first point.
Yeah, Fee swaps over the Soldier, which means that they don't have a Blizzard for this next fight, and Condi is going to find a massive Blizzard here because they don't have a Kiriko online for SrPeakCheck. NKZ, I mean, honestly, finding so much value in the backline of SrPeakCheck when they don't get pinned off the map. Yeah. That being said, when they don't. Now, on second point, you're not really able to do that if you're Cloudy. And, I mean, NKZ is just probably going to hyper-aggress here into the back line to take advantage of the fact that this Blizzard, never mind.
Fee. Condi gets so aggressive, though. Fee still has that all-important cryo block, that ice block to keep him healthy. Just headshots Condi and goes into it. Swagger on the site of Fee. Keep him alive, but NKZ just going to have to commit that ultimate. It's forced out of him. Just the pain is piled on now for SrPeakCheck. NKZ, it has expired, but unfortunately another rotation of that form is just going to be it for Danid and co. SrPeakCheck, they turn from blue to grey. Their screens go black, and Sheercold continue this push forward. We are seeing a full rush mirror on Escort here later.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting it in something like NA, but EU is a rush-dominated region, and we're seeing every bit of it right now. Sheercold coming up on another beaten overclock, and SrPeakCheck needs to find a massive Blizzard if they're going to win this fight.
Well traded here. I think that's an opening for Sheercold, to be fair. SrPeakCheck, it feels like they definitely need them to stage, and you've got to use it defensively, I'm sure, against NKZ's Nemesis form, as they were doing so well on Eichenwald. There we go, second wall.
Big wall
doesn't find anything. It does. The beat is blocked, and Ilpi just immediately falls. Cloudy is just going to pin in. No fear, no hesitation from the Finnish main tank. Potentially a veteran play, knew that his limits were past there. Zodial falls too now. Cloudy continuing to go in, but Sheercold are just going to run for the hills.
Yeah, I mean, full reset here on the cards for Sheercold, unless they get a late stagger, but Condi is going to go down. This is a rough position to be in, because you're just bleeding time.
SrPeakCheck, are they going to stay this close for the spawn hold? You potentially think so. There's no reason to stay on that high ground. Yeah, SrPeakCheck, they're going to have to fight them in the spawn. Fight them on this circuit that they really struggled on the first point. Ilpi's window is going to be slighted. Cloudy round the slide, 3-man slam. SrPeakCheck puts Sheercold on the floor. Cloudy almost pins off the map. Thankfully the cancel can come through. That's going to be Blizzard coming in as well. Condi is frozen up, cannot be converted. Ilpi though finds Scholar. Danid trades back NKZ. Strebel though, the backline of Sheercold, finally making the statement in this map. Condi gets a headshot onto Fee. Try and end this. Exodial goes into the room. It was a death room essentially with all those turrets, but Sheercold, they managed to force them back and get back on to the objective.
Yeah, but the card is rolled so far back that now SrPeakCheck has another fight, and it's a pretty clean fight too, because they don't have Sheer Troll doesn't have anything to work with other than Blizzard no C.
Pondi's Cryo is gone early. Overclock comes out first for Exodial. I was expecting that Blizzard to be dropped. There we go, finally it is. Does it find anyone? No, Condi falls again. After using his Blizzard, it's not good. Danny, though, in the backline has to get cleaned up. Is cleaned up by NKZ. This remark is going to buy all the space, all the time in the world. Sound barrier for SrPeakCheck is committing to this. Just with 10 seconds left to go, if it's winnable, it is.
Yeah, why not?
OP falls. Why not? Exodial's got the overclock. Gonna have to be big. SrPeakCheck finds that onto Fee, so the cart pressure has been mitigated, has been dampened for SrPeakCheck here, but Cloudy is back. Can he find the hammer swings? Fire strike is good. SrPeakCheck is eviscerated, incinerated. Mixi finds to pick on Exodial as well. Condi on the tracer, but they do not touch. SrPeakCheck on Circuit Royale. They went gambling, Laser, and you know what they say about the people that stop gambling? They never become billionaires. SrPeakCheck, they kept going, and they put it all on black, and, well, they earned their winnings.
Yeah, I mean, they got every bit of what they gambled, and I mean, Sheer Cold running the Sojourn is a little bit unconventional in a rush mirror, but not so much for this map, because you want to take advantage of those long sight lines, but that's only if SrPeakCheck allows it. And they did not, because Cloudy was in your face the entire round, taking advantage of the fact that they don't have any close, burst damage. Something like a Reaper, something like Somber Hack into May. Even Ramatra is not too big of a threat if you are playing Reinhardt.
Yeah,
I mean, they took full advantage of it.
Yeah, and I'm sort of, to be fair, I'm not too familiar actually myself with some of Sojourn's matchups into these rush compositions, but I almost feel like the lack of shield pressure that Exodial can bring, because you're not going to be railgunning these shields. Jesus, you're not. That would be so wasteful. Exodial has to try and find these angles, and if they can't, it means Cloudy's shield is going to be so healthy because there's less pressure from Sheer Cold, and with that shield, he can just walk onto Sheer Cold's backline and clean him up, and I think that's kind of what he was doing.
Yeah, the problem with running Sojourn in this composition is that, like you said, you have to take off angles, which is something you want to do with Sojourn anyways, but there's no pressure onto Cloudy's shield whatsoever. And SrPeakCheck can kind of just walk it down, run it down for free. And I mean, they're going to take a very aggressive fight here left. And I keep saying the word aggressive, and it is the most apt way to describe this gameplay, because there is no other descriptor for it.
And if there's any expert on running it down, it would be my NA co-caster. It would be Laser himself. Truly a region of inting. Speaking of inting, this is a potentially disastrous TP over the top, but it's smart. Cloudy finds a new angle of attack and just kind of drops on them like a paratrooper, and then Sheer Cold are just bamboozled. They're obliterated. They are left dazed and stunned by SrPeakCheck's rotation, but Laser, it worked out.
Yeah, dazed and confused. They are lost in the sauce. Sheer Cold, Exodial was not able to find too much value there, just because they took SrPeakCheck took such a fast rotation that Exodial lost all the sightlines immediately. And I mean, their ultimate charge shows it. They didn't get any damage off of that fight before they ended up going down. Fee is in an interesting situation, but bailed out. Never mind. I forgot they were on some headshot. They can TP him out.
But now you don't have the option to TP in, and you really think it's only the speed boost that come out from Dollar. Speed boost does come down, though. Excellent wall from Fee to isolate them off. That forces so many resources. Cryo, Nemfor, Lamp. If they've got it, it was cuffed out there just by one wall. Condi falls, SrPeakCheck falls, and man, Dollar finds a 2k to clean it up, but that fight was all about Fee. What a wall from the German May.
Yeah, these walls out from Fee are disgusting, and Condi is not able to keep up with the walls because of the tempo. It is so difficult when you are on the back foot to wall effectively, because when you're trying to walk at a team, you want to force them back. You don't want to keep them walking into your wall. If you wall behind them, unless you're walling off their supports, it's a completely useless wall. And now, I mean, SrPeakCheck has 5 ultimates. Sheer Cold doesn't have all the ultimates left, and they're coming up on not quite final fight, but certainly an important one here.
When you've got 5 ultimates, you can sort of just do this, force resources out of Sheer Cold, force them back, or just right-click through a window and take down Exodial and Ilpi immediately. Mixi finds 1, Mixi finds 2, headshot onto NKZ. Sheer Cold are going to have to die quick here because they might get a touch. This one fight is not good for Sheer Cold as they're staring down the barrel of a 3-0.
Yeah, they might be watching their season hopes melt away, and this is not a good position to be in. That being said, oh, they're just going to freeze early. They're not going to be able to touch at all.
This might just be genius from Fee. You've got the wall coming up in 2 or 3 seconds as well. If you can wall the choke, it might just be it. Does Fee sacrifice themselves? They might not even need it. Yes, they do. They managed to get in. Fee puts on a May masterclass, and they take it to Sheer Cold. The ice banshee that is May completely freezes over sheer cold. Hell is empty, and all the devils are on the side of SrPeakCheck. And the Satanic Queen herself, May, with a thorn in the side of sheer cold this entire series, man. V played May on Circuit Royale and was just so good. One of the things I love about Contenders is you just get these pop-off performances from individual people. Saw it last week from SkyRipper on Oblivione, this week from V on this map, and all throughout the series, to be honest, from Cloudy in moments. But man, there was just too many crucial fights in crucial choke points, and V just repeatedly delivered. This May, like, having a May this good next to a Ryan like LH Cloudy, man, SrPeakCheck 8-1, and you can see why.
Yeah, I mean, Circuit Royale is one of those maps where it is so linear that you can abuse the fact that May walls are broken. And
Yeah,
I think
so
walling off a tank, walling off a squishy, anything like that on such a linear map is such a very vital tool when you're running a rush composition, that if your May isn't able to keep up with the aggression levels and the tempo, then it's a tough ask for them to find as much value.
So many times it wasn't only just a wall onto NKZ to burst and burn all of his Nemesis form, like I've kind of repeatedly been saying across these three maps. They also managed to find Condi as well on that May to force Cryo. Then they'd have to lamp over the top, otherwise it's just night for both of those two. Then you force lamp, and then after the wall drops down, yeah, you don't have wall, but sheer cold have nothing else. And to go from the side of the sheer cold perspective, they just couldn't hang with the rush of SrPeakCheck today. They managed to find some nice fights when Condi was on Sombra. The fights that they weren't picked off, the EMPs were pretty consistent, to be fair. But it was those early picks from the side of SrPeakCheck that really put sheer cold back. They were able to do it on Oasis, to be fair, to pull themselves back into these fights. They won a lot of fights down, key pieces being able to essentially trade up, finding Cloudy, finding Danid. But in the end, you just can never do that consistently. If your consistent way of winning is going down 4v5 and then trying to pull that back, it's not a good fight plan. But I'm looking forward to the future, because Sheer Cold had some promising moments today. Remember, this is a team of essentially rookies. A lot of these players new to Contenders have been around tier 3 for a while, but making that step up is difficult. Laser, that's going to be it for us for now. Any final thoughts for Sheer Cold? Because they've got almost a crucial game coming up in 10-15 minutes or so.
Yeah, this next match, we talked about it in the pre-show about this one being important. Now it's win or go home, because another loss here will put them potentially out of the race when Raspberry Racers has a couple relatively easy matches in comparison coming up versus some of the lower end teams on the standings. And I mean, this is an all important match if you're a Sheer Cold. You have to bounce back from the mental boom. A little bit of a tough loss here to SrPeakCheck, but now you play someone a little bit above them in the standings, actually, Oblivione.
And Oblivione have been cooking. W Maymone and co, Team UK Maymone has just been really powering this team. As we're going to have a look at the other matches in round 9, Twisted Minds take a 2-0 currently over, they're one map away. Oblivione managed to quickly clean up 0-4 Dash now. Another loss on their record. Sitting at a sort of similar place in the standings compared to Sheer Cold, but I believe 0-4 currently right at the bottom of the table. Atraxia 2-0 up against Pitbull Storm. Important match to watch out for, Raspberry Racers versus Team Peps. Both of these teams, I believe, middle-ish of the standings also. So that could be really crucial as playoffs warm around. But we've got one more game for you guys on the Sheer Cold Twitch channel. As Laser said, this is so important for Sheer Cold. It's all or nothing, do or die. Can they find just 3 maps out of 5 to keep their season alive? We're going to find out. See you in about 25, maybe even 15 minutes or so. Tweets will go up on Sheer Cold and Timeless, Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, so check the socials. But until then, my name is Jay Staz Laser. We'll see you in 15-20 minutes or so. Don't go anywhere. Sheer Cold Contenders action is right back after this short break.